Welcome to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green, where you'll discover actionable strategies to help your student to reach their academic goals, to excel at standardized testing, and to plan for the college admissions process painlessly. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Green.
And hello, everybody. Steve Green here with another episode of the Make the Grade podcast. I got a great guest today. Parents, you better sharpen your pencils, get your listening ears tuned up because there's going to be some great info for you. The Make the Grade podcast, always about delivering actions. Actions parents can take right away to help their children to maximize their education. We also help entrepreneurs take actions to further their businesses. Got a guest today, Phil Vetrano. Phil, welcome. How are you?
Wonderful, Steve. Thank you for having me today.
Wonderful. Listen, he's wonderful. Hear that? The guy, he's from Texas. Phil's from Texas. Now, just joking. Phil, welcome from New York, right?
Yeah, Long Island, Massapequa.
Long Island, Massapequa. There we go. So Phil, an East Coast guy like me. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Smart guy. I mean, Phil's got an MBA from the distinguished Hofstra University. You know what Hofstra's famous for? Maybe Jets training camp. I knew that. Little trivia, NFL fans out there. Anyway, I spent 7 long years researching and analyzing colleges and speaking to hundreds of college students and staff to understand the strengths and weaknesses of these universities. He's created a company called Planning and Vision LLC. We're going to get into that. His mission to help families and students prepare to optimize their investment in college. I'm going to underline that word investment because a lot of people don't think of it that way. And he provides them with a competitive edge in career planning, which is pretty important, right? Coach Phil uses strategic and data-driven methods to identify the best college fit for each prospective student where they can thrive academically and socially and within a family budget. So all these things are critical, right? What's the average college cost anymore? $250,000? I don't know, right?
So the average cost is $38,500 a year.
Okay.
And but only half the students are graduating in 4 years. So then you're multiplying that actually by 5 or 6 as a potential budget. So we're talking now $240,000 for 5 years.
I saw a statistic somewhere, and this is really not what I want to get into with you, but a lot of parents, especially if you have 2 or 3 kids, will spend more money sending their kids to college than they did on their primary home, even with all the mortgage interest, all that nasty stuff. So parents have got to have a concern here, right? I'm making this huge investment in my kid. I already have. I raised them until they're 18. Now I'm shipping them off to University of ABC. Am I getting my money's worth, right? So how do you allay these fears in parents? What does Coach Phil of Planning and Vision LLC, you don't have to give away the secret sauce here, but what do you provide that really is an awesome help for these parents?
Sure. So great question, Steve. So it's about the goals and objectives of the family, including the student, and understanding what their academic goals are, and then understanding what they can afford and what they'd like to pay for. These are important questions, and it's important for me to know and understand that because I've got to present them with the colleges that are within that budget and save them a tremendous amount of time and managing expectations up front with the student. So the earlier they get on this and have that money talk, I've had, situations where the parents are not, ready to disclose what their budget is. And they have aspirations for them to get into, the best schools. And then when they see the difference in pricing between that $70,000 school and that $35,000 school, and then the student is so excited for that $70,000 school, it's hard to bring them in and rein them in when it's not clear what the budget is and whether that's something that's going to be a showstopper or not for them. So walking through the process is really important. Preparation is important, and understanding and learning from all those parents and families and students who have this student debt is tremendously valuable. And that's not what they go after. They're in the mindset of hope and, the honeymoon of going to college, and they're focused on that, but not understanding all the lessons learned from other students and families who've gone through this already, and learn from them and reduce your risk. For me, this is a project of providing information to the families as the board of directors and the CEO of their career, right? The student is the CEO of their career.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and of course I could keep talking.
Listen, there's two things I want everybody to know right away, because again, this podcast, this communication is about parents giving you valuable information, right? And you can put this into right away. If you got a rising senior in high school or a senior in high school, you haven't gotten the decision yet, this could be critically important. This could save you thousands of dollars. More importantly, make sure you make the right decision. Here's some statistics, right? And by the way, Phil didn't make all this up. I got a little insider information here, folks. He learned a lot of this working with his own kid, right? Phil, correct?
That is correct. Since 2014, and then I had another. I have another child who's a freshman in another college in Connecticut.
So you've been through this ringer twice.
I have.
So you and I have something in common. We both have two kids who are in college. Incredible. The alignment here of energy is incredible. But the point is, you're walking the walk because you've been there. You did this partly for your own purposes. Now you're trying to share this information to help as many people as you can. Let's just look at some. I'm gonna use the word scary. Here's some statistics. And you provided these, so I assume you fact checked them. Right? We're very big on fact checking here at the podcast.
That's all I can. That's the only way I can come up with these numbers.
All right, 42% of college students are dropping out or not able to complete a bachelor's degree in 6 years, not even 4. So 40%, 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5, they start, they go year 2, 3, 4, don't get through, just get done, walk away. Second statistic, more than 50% are not completing in 4 years. And statistic 3, 30% of freshmen transfer or drop out.
Yeah, that's the real sad one.
So how many, is there one thing you don't have here, or when I say here, I mean, as notes I've got, what percent of kids go to college and graduate in 4 years? It's looking like it's 25% or less anymore.
No, it's in the 40%, 45%.
No, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, but it's below 50.
Yeah. I remember when I was, you hear stories like this. I was, my freshman year of college, we're sitting there in this big auditorium and the dean comes out and looking around the room. He goes, you know what? In 4 years, half of you aren't going to be here. I think he was saying to try to motivate people, like, don't be a statistic. But, and I graduated from college a few years ago, as you can imagine. Do you believe, this is a leading question, part of the reason, maybe the biggest reason for this, is people just pick the wrong college to begin with?
Yeah,
what do you attribute these numbers to?
Yeah, no, it's a number of factors, and one of them is selecting the wrong school for them, whether it's financially, whether emotionally. So there's lots of whether they could afford it. There's lots of reasons where they go into a situation where they really don't know what they're signing up to, and then they are, thrown into the fire, and then their experience, 30% of them, they don't want to be there anymore, or they can't be there anymore. And I think it's a tribute to them not being ready and mature enough to take on higher learning, which is more difficult than high school. And it's all about the preparation for your child, and whether you're investing in that. How great are their study skills? How diligent are they? How mature are they? So it's assessing the individual, and this is an investment. And so parents are, they'll do anything for their kid, and they want them to progress. So regardless if they're ready or not, they're also pushing them to go in that direction, because they know that they will get ahead if they complete this bachelor's degree from a salary perspective. The data is there. Everyone knows that if you get a bachelor's degree, your chances of success in your career are multiplied. And that's something that's
lifetime earnings, all that. Yes.
Yeah. It's all good to know, but if they're not prepared and ready to complete this 4-year degree or this bachelor degree, it's not the, it may not be the wisest investment, because they may not be ready. And it's actually, the pandemic actually helped in circumstances because some of the students were deferring, because the parents were like, value, oh my goodness, 5 courses online, I'm going to pay this high tuition cost, and that's all they get is the 5 courses online. That's for $50,000. That's $10,000 a class. No, I'm sorry. That's $50,000 a year. So it's $25,000, $5,000 a class without any sort of college experience, just online classing.
So this is not necessarily a condemnation of the higher education system in the world. This is just the fact that some people, maybe 40%, maybe half, are just not making decisions that are suited best for what they want, what they need, maybe their maturity level, maybe just their goals, right? And listen, you don't have to go to college to be a success. I don't think either of us are suggesting that the only successful people in the world, whatever that definition is, are people that are college degreed people. But in sort of the normal track, you go here, you go to college, you get a job, you get a career. It's certainly still ingrained in the American dream kind of mindset. How did you, I know we've heard your story a little bit, you were concerned about your own kids. Where do you get all this information? Is this like a big secret, like a CIA kind of thing? Or, do you, how do you know? How do you confidently position yourself as a trusted advisor in this space?
Great question, Steve. So I'm a detailed oriented person. I'm an analyst. So I ask a lot of questions and I'm researching a lot of data. The government has a wealth of data on colleges. I have a theory on that, but I don't know the facts. But I think there's some people in government who wanted to know and understand how to make a decision. And they wanted all the stats for themselves to collect, to ensure, and it's from a consumer perspective, right? From a consumer perspective, if you don't have this information, you're in the dark. So it is helpful that the government requires colleges to fill out these forms to provide the statistics of retention, the statistics of graduate rates. Otherwise, it's a big black hole, and you would not know unless you have, a savvy business guy asking all these questions to the colleges and then determining whether this information is valid or not. And, and that's one of the talents that I have, is to, understand the judgment of the person, how prepared they are to answer these questions. And I could tell you, most of these folks that I talk to in college, they're not always prepared to answer these questions because they're assuming that these are going to be academic questions. No, they're actually business questions and how well their performance is. And this is something that they're not all savvy on, because they're an academic institution and they're not always measuring the performance of their organization to know how well they're doing. Yeah.
Well, I know from a college's perspective, a graduation rate is an important metric, right? But somebody could graduate and not necessarily have a skill set. They could graduate and just kind of float through classes. And so let's shift gears a little bit. By the way, this is Steve Green, my guest, Phil Vetrano from beautiful Long Island, New York. His company, Planning and Vision, LLC, helps students make the smartest decisions they can on the choice of college, save money, do it right. This is like a measure twice, cut once thing, right? For sure.
Yes, absolutely. And especially if you have the goal and objective to want this decision to be a great decision, because it is too easy. It is too easy to make decisions, and to make the right decision is difficult because it takes time, it takes effort, it takes an assessment and analysis, and to know what could go wrong and understanding that, how to mitigate that risk, how to prepare your student to be successful, how to prepare them to optimize and maximize their opportunities there. A college is extraordinarily providing lots of opportunities. I talk to professors all the time. Professors, their office hours are not always used every week. And so that's a lost opportunity for students to engage, especially, in the programs they're interested in. And that's definitely something that they're not taking advantage of, and building those relationships with the professor, helping them with their careers. That's definitely
Like
one of those
networking, basically.
absolutely networking.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful skill to have networking skills before you go to college. And
Yes.
so that's one of the things that I cover with the students. But not all students are extroverts and are ready to meet people that they don't know. So it's a level of readiness, and then helping them to show them, right? To show them how it works, let them observe before they get thrown into the fire and start trying to look, meet new people and start preparing what they're going to say. And there's a build of anxiety about that. But if you walk them through the process, and then at minimum, you're educating them to show them how this works and what the benefits are. And I say, hey, even if you're not a good networker, know people who are, because you're going to benefit from those people who really know how to network.
All this is great. On a level, though, we can't completely discount the basic metrics, a kid's GPA, SAT, ACT scores, college application essays or personal statements. So there's all the kind of, for lack of a better term, traditional things a kid would do to get into college, right? Like your research could say, well, whatever, Rose Alley University is the perfect fit for little Phil, but maybe they don't have the grades to get in, right? Or maybe they got okay grades, but their SAT scores are 200 points too low or whatever. So that's got to be part of the equation as well on a level, right?
Yeah, it depends on the goals and objectives of the student. And certainly if they're unable to get in, it wasn't a great fit, right? It works both ways. Does this college want you? And
right.
Because we know that they want, the kids want to be in a particular school or many schools, and they want those choices that they have. And some of them will apply to over 20 schools.
Yeah,
because
I see that. I see that in my caseload.
Yeah, and it's nothing that I recommend, but it's something that they feel compelled to do because they want to see which college is the best for, the best school they could get into. And it's just most of the time they're very selective schools, and they need to cast a huge web to see who wants them. And then the most important thing is, hey, are they paying, are they giving a scholarship to really come aboard, because you've got some really strong grades and scores that they really want.
So there's a lot of moving parts here. This is one of the reasons I'm pretty sure you're recommending people start this, not like 5th grade, but pretty early in their high school experience. Let's say I'm a parent. I got a 9th grader. And I think, wow, I'm hearing I like what I'm hearing here. What's the process? So they might reach out to you.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
So I speak with the parents. The parents are usually motivated to find out more information. I share with them, we could meet, once every 6 weeks for a 9th grader, once every month, depending on how much you want to know and how much you'd like the student to prepare for, and or just be in the know. The decisions that they're going to be making in 9th grade can actually have an impact on their application. And so I can see the future for the 9th graders, because I know what process they're going through, and I know what questions they're going to be asked. So why not have the list of questions that you're going to need to answer in 12th grade when you're in 9th grade to prepare for the things that you need to do? And at least you have a choice. You are either going to do these activities to prepare for that application, or you were in the know that you could have done these things. And when it comes to 12th grade, and it's at that point where they're asking you what you've accomplished in the past, and you had those choices and you haven't, it's not too late. They could still do some activities in 12th grade, but it's not as compelling to the person who's reading your application to know that, oh, you've got your act together in 12th grade, or you got your act together in 11th grade. But guess what?
It's better late than never, but yeah. But it's also who you're competing against, right? mean, it's not like you're the only person applying to this university or this college. You've got other people who are just as motivated, who've got perfectly strong resumes as well. So just, you got to stand out. I mean, this is one of the things I counsel people. See, what I like about what's going on with you is that you're basing this on math. You're basing this on data, right? And you're also basing this on just a practical thing. Give yourself the time to do this right. I got a note here. You offer some seminars, right?
Yes.
Online. Tell us about them. How can somebody get involved with them?
Sure. So I have a website, planningandvision.com. And
vision.com. Okay.
Yep. And I have events that are published on that website. And one example is the major issues facing parents and students when considering college. So we're highlighting some of those today, but there's plenty. So that's a free class. So any high school family can sign up for that and register. I have another one that's $25. High school college guidance for the undecided, uncertain, and undeclared. So this is where your biggest risk is, because if your family is investing in you and you're not sure what you want to study, that is a big risk of an investment where you're not really prepared and you don't have a purpose to say, I'm going to study this because I'm passionate about it. If you were to ask a person outside of your family, would you like to invest in the kid who doesn't know what they want to do? Or would you like to invest in a kid who has a plan and knows what they want to do and have done all these other things leading up to that? Which one's a better investment?
Well, clearly the one who's got a plan. I mean, so I'm going to assume you're not a fan of the undecided major.
So I'm a fan of the person who's working on a goal towards figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally it's before college.
I mean, look, transferring to another university or changing your major is not the worst decision a person could ever make in their life if the eventual outcome gets them where they want to go, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is not about, it's all about preparation and knowing what you're interested in at the time. And the more work you do with that topic before you get into that degree requirements and understanding those degree requirements, it's just preparation. And then, okay, so you'll be, are you striving to be an expert in what you really want to do or like to do? And if you haven't figured that out yet, that's the time they need to spend to figure it out, because you're going to drop $50,000, $70,000 a year on and hoping that the classes that they are taking, and some colleges require, 3 general education requirements. You've got to take a writing class, which may not help, decisions. Right. And so it's a big risk. And I look at it from a business perspective, where let's walk through the logic, let's walk through the data, and help the family make a wiser investment. And it's whether they want to optimize this opportunity, because if you don't know what you want to learn, you can't possibly optimize your experience.
I like that. Say that again. That was really good. If you don't know what you want to learn, you cannot optimize your experience. See, that is the kind of brilliant wisdom you get on the Make the Grade podcast. I'm going to ask you one question in a second, Phil, but here, we're here. Anybody needs questions? You got a question for Phil, put them in the comments. Check it out. Reach out. Check out one of his webinars. You can only learn. It cannot hurt, for sure. You might actually learn something important. Little success story you shared with me. Planning a Vision saved a family $17,000 per year, right?
Yes.
And they also got a $20,000 scholarship. That's a lot of cabbage.
Yes. So the student did very well on their SAT and also in their grades. And so she earned a $20,000 scholarship per year at this school, as long as she keeps her grades up. Nice. And then we helped her and the family save even more money with the opportunity to negotiate with the college.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you got a long list of stories like that. How do you feel? Let me ask you a question, because I get asked this. I talk to parents multiple times a day. Gap year. Good idea, okay idea, depends on the kid. because there's a big surge in gap years right now because there's so much funky stuff going on with college admissions, and that's really a COVID-driven thing. And just to date this, people, this is late April 2021, so we are 13 months into the COVID experience, but it has impacted education broadly. And it's impacting college admissions in terms of what requirements are to some degree, test taking or standardized tests, things like this. So I'm getting parents saying, hey, my kid's going to take a gap year. They're going to do whatever. I don't think it's a bad idea at all, especially if it helps their maturity. Maybe it helps the decision-making process. But what's the expert think?
So it's about the goals and objectives, and what are they going to be productive during that gap year? What's the purpose of the gap year? Is it for their maturity? Is it for a better decision? Is it for, hey, get a sample of what it's like to work, and go? There's apprenticeship programs that the student can get involved with. It also helps pay for college. So these are things that parents don't necessarily know that they have options for, and or the students don't know that they have options for, but it's something that's really wise to look into, because it's not just, hey, the kids are making a career-related decision in 12th grade, what they're going to do after high school. That is a career decision, and how much are they prepared to know what their choices are and what their options. The easy one is, I'm either going to go to work, my parents are going to pay for me to travel around the world or not, or I'm going
Probably
to go
not.
to college.
Do you have any, you've been doing this that long, but you've been doing long enough. I mean, you got your testimonial of your own kids. I mean, their success stories based on your system. Are you able to follow up and track, kids maybe you started with 5-6 years ago who've now gone in through the 4 years, hopefully, and gotten done? And, can you quote any kind of success rate or another kind of success story you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah. So my first student, his name is Michael, and he has a 4.0 at a Connecticut university, and he is doing exceptionally well in the classes. And one of the things is, he was one of my first students, so we didn't spend a tremendous amount of time on the career search side. We spent more time on the best fit college for Michael. So we nailed that, but we didn't nail down the best fit career for him. And so he's on his own with the school is going through that process of determining what he wants to do. And I keep networking with him and sending him, here's a lead for you to explore these types of careers, because he loves writing. And we found out the journalism type of career, and it was a salary that he was uncomfortable with. And as soon as he had that information, boom, he made a decision. I don't want to be a journalist.
I'm assuming it was too low.
It was absolutely too low.
Okay, all right. So make sure.
Higher expectations. His goals was much higher, and one of the things when we first met, he wanted to be an English major. So he said, and I want to go to a particular state school that is in New York. And we looked at the program, and I said, "Are you familiar with this program?" "No, I want to be an English major." "Well, you got to take British literature, a lot of it. Is this something you want to do?" "Absolutely not." "Okay, we're not going to that state school. It wasn't a good fit, or we're looking at other majors now." And so he was considering the communications major. We did a whole analysis on the schools to see the ones that are really robust, and dug deep. And we helped him find the Connecticut school that was an affordable price. And we also got money from them too.
Hey, well, listen, we only have a few more minutes, but we could probably just talk about these stories all day, which is a tribute to your system, your ability to relate to these kids, get them motivated. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in my freshman year of college, I came home for winter break, and the college I went to had a 4-week break. We had kind of a long break. And my dad had a good friend who owned a waste disposal company, like the big trucks and the big giant things, and like it picks it up and dumps it. And he says, "Yeah, I got a job for you." And I'm like, "Great, I could use the money." My job for 3 weeks was cleaning out the dumpsters. we had like this fire hose thing, and it was like almost like a power washer. And and I spent like, we would like wash it, then you put this like disinfectant, you wash it again. And you know what? I made some money, but it taught me, man, I was not going to mess up in college, because I'm not putting down anybody who has a job like that at all, but I knew it's what I did not want to do. And, I was lucky when I grew up. I mean, I had worked in a bicycle store, I had a paper route. I had jobs that were like fun for me. But this was like work, and it was smelly and it was dirty. So it got me kind of motivated, and I always did well. I was always a good student, but it did sort of push me in the right direction. My father, that's how he taught people lessons. Go do this and hate it, and you'll figure out what you don't want to do. That was kind of his style. Yeah. All right.
We're a little similar. I had the paper route. I worked as a porter in a commercial building for the summers. And again, I was doing the cleanup of the cigarettes around the building. And also the disposal that you're talking about, that loading dock, it smelled horrendous because that's where the garbage was.
Yes. I still have like a faint, it's 45 years ago or whatever, and I still can sort of, it's like that, I don't know, it's hard to even, if you know what it smells like, you know what it smells like. And it's not pretty. All right, Phil Vetrano, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. Appreciate you taking the time. Planning a Vision LLC. .com. I hopefully everybody will check it out, get some value out of it. We've had other college coaches on here, but I love the angle that you have, and they're all good, honestly. But I like the angle you have. I like the data-driven piece. I like the personalization of it, and I would encourage people to check it out. Check out his webinars. Check out his one-on-one experiences. You got any final word? Anything we didn't talk about? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I guess if you decide not to use a college or career coach for your son or daughter, surround them with great mentors, surround them with adults, have them work with the adults to provide them with the experience and know-how of what a career is like. And it's just to their advantage, because they'll be communicating with adults, they'll have to interview with adults. And so that would be my, and then of course you want the person to have their best interest. And not their own agendas, and not what their ideas are, and whether they could service that, right? As opposed to, what are your dreams, and are they helping them accomplish those dreams?
Which basically is having a coach anyway. They're just sort of coaches that are their friends, as opposed to a professional. Yeah. This has been great. Hey, any you share anything personal? Like, I don't know, your favorite food, or you like lasagna? I don't know, anything like that. Any conversation starters here?
Yeah, I do enjoy ravioli and
ravioli. Okay, there you go. A lot of good Italian restaurants in Long Island. That's not. I don't know if there's a famous. Like, I'm from Philadelphia, so you hear flavor with cheesesteaks, pizza. But is there like a famous food from Long Island? I don't know.
Our bagels are really good.
Bagels, okay.
So if you're in Long Island and you are visiting, absolutely go to the bagel store. There's a lot of bagel stores. If you compare them with other states, you will know that New York.
Okay, New York bagels. You heard it here. See that? Look, this is not only about helping your kid get into college. This is a culinary experience. I'll tell you, I'll ship you a cheesesteak, and you can send me a half a dozen
bagels.
I like the all the stuff on it. What do they call it? The everything bagel. I like them. All right, Phil. Thanks again. I appreciate it. You got so much to talk about. I'd love to have you back. Maybe we'll do a sequel experience in a couple months. What's the best? Let me ask you one last thing. The academic year is a kind of a cycle, right? September it starts and blah, 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 ends in June. Is there a best time of year that somebody would enter into this? Or does it not really matter? Like, is September a good launch point as opposed to May, or is it really not? Is it just a family by family thing?
So the student has the most free time in the summer.
Yeah, always.
So, yeah, and if the student is a junior going into junior year, going into senior year, that is prime time, insightful education for them for all the things that
right, there we go. And look, my calendar. Look at my calendars. It's April 28th, 9th. You know what that means? Almost May. It's almost June. Get on the computer, pick up the phone. Let's see what the studio audience thought of you today here. Oh, look at that. Wow, yeah, wave to the audience. Hey, people. I know, he was unbelievable. I get it. I know, it was incredible. There we go. Yeah, standing ovation.
I'm just happy they're 6 feet apart.
Yes, that's right. They're all 6 feet apart. They all got masks. We are conscious that way. We're going to wrap it up here. The Make the Grade podcast, always about providing actions for parents with children, which was really the focus today. Also entrepreneurs. We get that a lot too as well. We're going to be back at you. I got some really good guests lined up over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Got a lot to say myself. We're going to have some solo ones with some really good action tips. And it's all about getting ready for finals at this point, folks. So I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. For more resources and support, please visit makethegrade.net.